Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Benefits Wise. Today we have a special guest joining us, and we'll be discussing benefits technology. One of the common pain points with HR and reward professionals is communicating their benefits offering. So we're going to be discussing the role that technology has to play in delivering this type of information. My name is Dan Mills, and I'm joined by my colleague and managing partner, David Pugh. And as mentioned, we have a special guest who is Charlotte Neal, and Charlotte is Head of Community Connections at Reward Gateway Edenred. So let's dive right into it. Okay, brilliant. So, hello, Charlotte. Thank you for joining us. I feel like I should probably first off by apologizing to everyone who is coming across from Charlotte's network, because you're probably used to having this really slick, professional, polished podcast host, and today you're going to have to deal with me. So, yeah, perhaps Charlotte can give me some pointers about how to do this afterwards. But hello, Charlotte. How are you?
Hello, thank you so much for having me here, Dan and David. It's lovely to join you on this today. And you mustn't worry about being slick and professional. We're all just winging it.
Exactly, yeah. Fake it until you make it. But brilliant. No, thank you for being on, Charlotte. And do you want to give just a quick kind of high level overview of what your role is and kind of how you help organizations?
Yeah, absolutely. So, hi, I'm Charlotte. I've been at Reward Gateway for coming up to 6 years now, which I can't quite believe. And I traditionally worked in our sales team, but I've recently moved into a new role. I say recently, about 6 months ago, which is the Head of Community Connections role. So it's a brand new role for the business, and the focus primarily kind of is to do what it says on the tin and have a good old chat with people in our community, whether that's our clients, friends of Reward Gateway, or people who aren't our clients. Facilitate connections between them based on the things that they're interested in, what their focuses are, what their challenges are in their business. But I also host our podcast as well. So to summarize, I would say a professional chatterbox.
That's a brilliant. Yeah, you should definitely put that on your LinkedIn. But it's brilliant. Yeah. So Charlotte obviously hosts the In Conversation with Reward Gateway. So everyone, please do go ahead and check that out. It's brilliant. But let's dive into today. So I'd like to kick off with really framing the problem. So what are some of the key challenges that HRs are facing around traditional employee benefits communication, Charlotte?
Yeah, and I think it's that age-old thing, right, that everybody always talks about, which is you can have the best benefits program in the world, but if you're not communicating it effectively, it might as well not be there. So I think that's the main challenge, and always has been and continues to be. And I think one of the things that we're seeing a lot at the moment is when we think about the rise of social media and brilliant consumer grade experiences, that's what employees are kind of expecting from the programs and from the communication they're receiving from their employers. So that pain point around how do we create a consumer grade experience for our employees seems to be something that's coming up a lot at the moment. And David, I don't know if that's something you're experiencing as well.
Yeah, I definitely. I'd just add to that. I mean, do you think most employers give it much thought where they've got a traditional package, or is communication just an afterthought?
I think it varies actually, and I think it depends on the resource of particular teams as well. And again, that's another challenge that people come up against, right? Because the pace of change in the workplace at the moment is so fast that I think the firefighting doesn't necessarily leave much room for strategizing. So I guess it depends on the business. It depends on the resource of the business, but also, you know, thinking about what is the strategy and where do we want to move to and aligning communications around that. So yeah, it can be a tricky one, I think, for a lot of people.
Yeah, and I think planning ahead just makes a big difference because there's often a comms person in the business, but do they get any kind of airtime for their own benefits? They're normally more outward facing, but if the resource can be there, it can make a huge difference.
It can make a huge difference. And I do think when we talk about opportunities in this space around benefits communication, that is a real opportunity to really connect those teams together. I think specifically in larger organisations, perhaps where teams are so vast and people maybe don't have the FaceTime they once had with one another, building those connections between different teams can be a missed opportunity in terms of benefits communication. So something that a lot of our clients talk about is utilising what you've already got. You know, if you've got great channels where people are already speaking, how can you really make the most of that to communicate your benefits offering? But I think also people sometimes get really bogged down in the detail and wanting it to be perfect, and actually it doesn't need to be perfect, it just needs to be there. So I think that's something that's coming up a lot. And but also as well, in different organizations there's different challenges with comms. And you know, Reward Gateway tends to work primarily with sort of boots on the ground workers, you know, people in factories, manufacturing, retail, hospitality, those kinds of businesses, where actually a lot of the time employees don't have an email address. So that presents a real challenge of how do you communicate with these people who are offline workers. So that's something that we see a lot as well. And maybe you come across that too.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And you know, most companies we find have a mix of, you know, the traditional white and blue collar. So it's just thinking outside of the box, and just the introduction of QR codes. And you know, COVID means everybody, my mum included, know what to do with the QR code. Most people have a, you know, a smart computer in their pocket. So it's how you do some very simple things that can really help people, you know, get online, which is often the solution that you might be presenting. But in the more traditional world, it's just engaging, it's just talking about it. And yeah, definitely use what's already there, and you know, don't let perfection be the enemy of just doing it, which is the important bit.
Well, it's that Nike tagline, isn't it? Just do it. I think just do it.
Exactly.
Get something out there. And I think
Exactly.
one of the things with like social media as well, right, is that things are quick and snappy and you've got to get people's attention. And I think one of the challenges of benefits communication is that maybe, and I'm not speaking for all employees here, but sometimes it can be seen as boring with traditional benefits. And it's how do you make things engaging? How do you know, make people understand what the so what is? What is it? What's in it for me?
Yeah.
But also, you know, in a diverse environment where you have perhaps lots of different people from different backgrounds and different languages, that's a barrier that we come up against a lot as well in terms of communicating your benefits and helping your employees to understand them. So I wanted to share a story, actually, if you don't mind me jumping into this.
Go for it, yeah.
One of our clients, Mighty, you might know them, they're a facilities business, quite a large organisation. They're an incredibly diverse business, and they had a lot of employees who weren't understanding their benefits and how they could use them. So Mighty was really smart, and they were like, right, I know what we can do. And they created video snippets that explained benefits in video format, no words. So it just showed how these benefits work and showed the so what. And actually that really helped them to drive uptake. And it's just a really smart, simple idea, but it's really helped them snowball their benefits communication.
Yeah,
That sounds
brilliant.
brilliant. I'm a massive fan of videos. Any type of snippets which can, you know, just create more of that engagement piece. There's definitely an element of, you know, we want to move away from bland blanket communications. And I just wanted to pick up on your point there, Charlotte, of the kind of what's in it for me, which kind of leads me into thinking of personalization and how can tech platforms like Reward Gateway help tailor benefits communications to individual employees? And I guess what are the advantages you see of personalization in this space?
Yeah, and I think before we dive into that, it might be good to talk about like personalization and what is personalization, because hi, Charlotte, yeah, that's personalization. It's got my name on it. But does that actually personalize my benefits experience? And I think using tech platforms and advancements in tech to be able to demonstrate how an employee benefit really matters to me as an individual is something that's really important, because you know, we've got 5 generations now in the workplace, soon to be 6 when Generation Alpha join us. I think they're 11 years old now in the upper band of that, but you know, it's only a few years away.
They're around the corner, aren't they? Round the corner.
Around the corner, they're coming. And I think being able to really demonstrate, okay, we've got employees of 5-6 generations here. How can we personalize an experience to that individual employee at their different life stages and demonstrate how one benefit can actually span across all of those generations? So using tech to be smart about that, especially from a communication standpoint, we always say that HR need to think like a marketer when it comes to benefits comms. And being able to personalize that experience and think like a marketer means that you'll be able to hit those different touch points, different life stages, different generations. So thinking about that's quite important. One of the things that I hear a lot is AI. And I think everyone kind of goes, ooh, AI, and there's a lot of talk around it. So I don't know if that's something that you guys have thought about in terms of personalization, David.
We certainly use AI to help with the kind of marketing of what we do. We're kind of tech agnostic, so we're not the guys who create the actual tech to broadcast what we do. We'd look towards you for that, and so I could flip that back. But yeah, we're seeing a lot of hype around AI, and everyone feels they need to know more about it. But I think we're still at early days, really, of robust systems being in place. But I think more the likes of Microsoft get on board with it, that will open up a whole new domain for AI where it can actually be looking at your data rather than just data that's 12 months old, like ChatGPT, that kind of thing. So yeah, it's definitely where the future will be. I don't think many are there yet, but I think we all feel like we need to be doing more.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I think that when you're on Instagram or when you're on a social platform, right, your experience is actually tailored to you, whether you realize it or not. And I don't know if that's powered by AI, because I do not understand that. Yes, I work in a tech business, but that is beyond me. But when you're having when you're shopping and when you're online, your experience is personalized, and that's a consumer grade experience, and that's what our employees are coming to expect from benefits too. So I think that around personalization and segmentation, when that builds into these platforms in the future, that's something that's really exciting, and it's definitely something we're thinking about here as well. But also around that personalization piece, something I wanted to talk about is total reward statements. And I know that in the past they've been a bit clunky and a bit boring, and they're probably not seen as something necessarily forward thinking, but actually when you're communicating your employee value proposition as a whole, it's something that can be really helpful. And one of the things that we do at RG is we have total reward statements that are constantly updated, they're live and direct, and they're personalized to each employee. And I think having that is really powerful because it gives employees a quick view of their total package, their so what, and what's in it for them. And as an employer, being able to say, this is what you get for working for us, specifically at a time when I think the jobs market is quite tumultuous and people are jumping for that extra pay, is something that's quite powerful. And
that's a really good point, especially when we're looking at the main thrust of offering benefits is in that recruitment and retention space. Anything which can help to elevate either one of those offerings is going to be tremendously valuable, isn't it? And I guess that leads us on from our last episode when we were talking about, how do organizations create a business case, or how do we demonstrate some ROI, whether that's to offer a new benefit or whether that's to offer a piece of technology, which is to communicate our benefits. So I guess when we're talking about measuring the impact, Charlotte, how can HR departments measure the effectiveness of technology-driven comms? And are there any specific KPIs or metrics that they should be trying to track as they're going along this journey?
Yeah, I mean, this is a big question, right? And it's something that comes up all of the time because, you need to be able to demonstrate that positive return on investment for those benefits. But I guess benefits as part of the whole package, right? Part of the EVP of an organization, the employee value proposition. And sometimes that's really tricky to measure. But I think the advice that we tend to give our clients and that we think about is, well, what's important for your business right now? What's your strategy? What is the thing that you're working towards? And that attraction, retention, and engagement piece tends to be the key drivers behind it. So we'd recommend taking a look at your strategy, taking a look at your plan, and thinking about, okay, these are the key drivers for the business. This is what my leaders in the business care about. So that's what I'm going to measure against, and I'm going to go for that. So the keys thing that people seem to be doing at the moment is those engagement survey results, because that's really tangible, quick. You can do that quickly with pulse surveys that are one question, or you can go into more depth. But also looking at retention, for example, looking at attraction, looking at your employee turnover, and measuring against that. And although, benefits uptake isn't necessarily something that is linked to retention traditionally or in a way that's super tangible, if you connect all the dots between it, you can really see an impact. And I think that choosing a system that has really good reporting is also something that's going to be important for measuring the impact, because you can see, okay, well, these are the benefits that are being used. These are the benefits that aren't being used. Are we getting a return on investment on that benefit? Is it still worth us doing it? Or is there a communication problem where our employees don't understand the value of that? But also thinking about salary sacrifice benefits, for example, and is there an NI saving as an employer for that? And how can we demonstrate the return on investment of a platform as a whole by looking at those NI savings that we're making through those salary sacrifice benefits? So one of our clients, Holland and Barrett, recently featured on the In Conversation episode with us. I won't say how much because they won't thank me for it, but they made a significant return on investment just through their cycle to work and holiday trading benefits that they had, which meant that their tech platform paid for itself and then some, and gave them some money to be able to reinvest back into their people strategy. So it gave them a bit of, movement that perhaps wasn't there before. So I think if you're smart with that trackability and with those KPIs, you can really demonstrate the value to your people leaders, which is obviously important, but also to your people. And the people don't care, your employees don't care about your KPIs. They don't care about the metrics, but they care about how it makes them feel and what their so what is from their package. That felt like a really long answer, sorry.
It was a really good answer.
I think there's some great stuff in there. And I'm always amazed that normally the people we're talking to don't know their total spend on benefits.
Yeah.
Now, they can go away and find out, but if you're talking to a finance director, they normally know, the turnover of the business, they know the key metrics, but within HR, because the role is so diverse, unless there's someone specializing benefits, they don't normally know the size of the budget, the size of the purse that they're controlling. So we like to pick on a few key metrics. So what is the spend? And from that, what are you spending on communicating? And it's normally a tiny, tiny percentage. And then, as you say, if you pick out a few of those things you're aiming at to meet their value proposition or whatever culturally that they're trying to achieve, it could be around the pension or, as you say, holiday, all these different things. They nearly all drive some savings when you engage in people. So the more people do, the more they save, and it becomes a virtuous circle. So it's actually, when you think about it, a lot easier to connect the dots. Or even if retention's the issue, and then you can show that people who engage in the pension in X, Y, Z kind of manner, they stay longer, well, do more of that. So creating a business case is actually much easier than people think, if you just sit down with a blank piece of paper and think about it.
One thing that we talk about is cost in context. So if you're able to show what the cost is, and then demonstrate what the cost in context is in relation to your business. And that's something that can be quite helpful to help people understand. So an example of this, say, for example, you're a pizza business, right? And you go,
that's
okay.
the dream.
I know, right? I worked at Pizza Hut for 5 years. I ate so much pizza, and now I'm celiac, and I think that maybe I ate my lifetime supply of pizza, and that would be why.
Too much of a good thing.
Too much of a good thing. But say you work at a pizza business, right? And a slice of pizza costs the same amount as you're spending per employee per year on your benefits program. That's cost in context. And that helps your people leaders understand, okay, or your business leaders rather understand, okay, right, one piece of pizza per year per employee, really doable, makes sense. That's the cost in context piece. And that can help people to really demonstrate the value of putting these things in place, where maybe it can be a bit of a struggle sometimes to get that buy-in.
Yeah, I love that analogy.
It's great. And also the emotional side. But I remember when Vitality started giving free cinema tickets, all of a sudden people valued the free cinema ticket more than actually having the thing the company wanted, which was to protect their workforce if they're off sick. So it can be strange how these extra little things can capture the imagination in a way that the core doesn't, because nobody really wants to be so sick that they need to go and have an MRI scan or whatever it might be. So there's some tricks and things that the companies do, their marketing departments do. But you can use that to really articulate, the benefit, because you're always going to be able to use something that's available there. But often people just don't know. They don't know it's there.
They don't. And just one more point before we move on measurability, if you don't mind. So something that we're really excited about is we've commissioned a big piece of work and a big study. And it's going to be called the Economic Value Study. And for the first time, we're going to be enabling people in people teams, HR teams, benefits teams to demonstrate the economic value of putting these platforms and these benefits in place. And that's something we're super pumped about, because it's something that's always been difficult to do, right? We're going to be talking about that at our summit event on May the 15th. Anyone who's watching, listening to this, I'm sorry, I hope you don't mind this cheeky plug. Feel free to message me on I can sort you out the ticket, that's fine. But that's something that we're going to be talking about. And, it's been so hard, I think, for people to be able to demonstrate that value before, because KPIs are different for different businesses. There's no rule book. Well, actually, this kind of rips up the rule book a little bit and says, here's the levers you can pull. Here's what you can demonstrate. So, hopefully that's helpful for people.
No, it's brilliant. We look forward to seeing that. It's going to be something, I can see loads and loads of value in that. And it's, like you say, it's something that that everyone can kind of benefit from, especially when we're looking at putting these things in place. One question I wanted to jump onto is talking about the future. We've already touched on AI, which I guess 2 years ago was probably a relatively, unknown concept, apart from anyone who's watched iRobot. But just kind of thinking about what do you see as the kind of emerging trends, or where do you see benefits technology going in the future? I guess there's so many updates coming from various kind of platform providers, but what are those kind of key trends you see emerging?
Yeah, and I think key trends, is a big one, because there's so many of them. And the pace of change in the working world is so fast that these trends just seem to be hitting us left, right, and centre all the time. But that personalisation piece that we talked about earlier, I think is a really key one. So how we can weave AI into technology to be able to deliver those consumer grade personalized experiences, I think, is a really big one. But why that's important is it allows employees flexibility and choice, but also experiences that really matter to them. And that Maya Angelou quote, people won't remember what you did, they won't remember what you said, but they'll remember how you made them feel. And employees will remember how you made them feel as being an employee for them. So that's something that I think is going to be really important. We actually did a piece of research recently, which is the HR Priority Report, and we talked in there about the largest barriers facing HR and the adoption of HR tech at the moment. And 25% of people said that there are too many platforms and it's hard for HR to manage them all. So one of the future trends that we're predicting is that all in one place is going to be really important and more prevalent, because HR teams are pulled left, right, centre, up, down, and this is going to allow, by putting it all together in one place, for that simplification and just to make things slicker and easier. So that's a trend that has been rumbling on for some time, but I think will really continue to rumble on. And on that note as well, global capability for benefits. And I'm sure you come across this all the time, but the conversation is coming up more and more around, we're a global business and we have employees around the world. They're more connected than they have been ever before. So we want to be able to offer a standardized offering across all of the countries that we operate in. So having that global capability is something that I think is becoming more important. And we're really excited to be kind of moving the needle a little bit in that direction. And I know that a lot of people are doing it at the moment as well. Is that something that you're coming up against, David, or that you're seeing a lot?
Yeah, I think we often, if I got £1 every time I was asked, I'd probably have £5 by now. For international companies, or companies just, with a UK kind of satellite office to the US, saying, look, we want a standardized approach. Obviously, it's really hard because things like your medical, your pension, completely different rules. That's before you get into cars and all the other bits and bobs that might compose it. But yeah, if you can have an international strategy and a platform to manage it, that is really the holy grail. And I know some have claimed they can do that, but it normally involves different people from different areas putting it together, and the reality isn't always the same as perception. So yeah, that'd be really good. And one area we do see some really good stuff coming down the track is on financial well-being, and going beyond personalizing what the company can give you, but then integrating it with all of your own personal finances. So linking to your bank account and linking to all sorts of other things, whether it's a credit score or whatever it would be. And depending on where you are on your financial journey within your career, that will do very different things for different people. So yeah, definitely an idea where tech is really empowering it and can do things that just wouldn't have been possible before. But I would always warn against just focusing on the latest shiny thing coming through, which is, you end up with another platform that then maybe in 2 years' time it's not as shiny as it used to be. And then how do you manage it? So yeah, all for simplification. Love the idea of one platform, and if that can be international, well, that'd be amazing. So yeah, look forward to seeing more about that.
Yeah, I mean, it's the dream, right? It's the absolute dream. Just to touch on something you said there about longevity with tech, I think picking a provider that has longevity and can go the distance with you, grow and evolve over the time is really important. But just going back to what we were talking about earlier around benefits communication, and thinking about trends, meeting people where they are with benefits and with benefits communication is also something that's coming up a lot. And I think will continue to be a trend. And by that, I mean, thinking about that consumer grade experience, thinking about how can we use video to meet people where they are and make it really easy for them to understand and digest. So that's another thing that I think is coming up a lot. And, you see recruiters now who are on TikTok. You see different businesses putting their proposition forward on TikTok, on Instagram, and creating different profiles. And I think that's something that's going to become more and more important.
Yeah, it's brilliant. And on that, Charlotte, have you got any, can we be cheeky and ask, have you got any kind of success stories which you can share, or any kind of case studies to kind of really bring this to life?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're very lucky. We have a huge number of clients now. Actually, we're at about 4,500 globally, which is insane. It's just incredible, and we're really lucky to work with so many different organizations in different industries, different sizes. The smallest we work with is 1, the largest is 350,000. So there's
quite a range.
There's a lot of different businesses in there. But one client of ours who is doing incredible things at the moment is DEFRA, so the Department for Environment, Food and Rural Affairs. A little bit of a mouthful. I practiced it earlier. So DEFRA started working with us a couple of years ago now, and Nat Jutler is their benefits EVP lead over there, who is super passionate about the work they're doing to make their employees' lives better. So they launched their platform, I think about maybe 18 months ago, 2 years ago, and they've called it STAR, so Special Thanks and Recognition. So it's got recognition focus to it, but there is also the employee discounts on there as well. And it's a great hook to have those two things together, talking about that all in one platform. And that's something that has meant they've seen massive success, because people go on there because they've received a recognition moment and they see their discounts, saving them money on their everyday shopping, everything from your Morrisons and your Tesco and your Sainsbury's all the way up to booking a nice holiday, or buying a big piece of tech, or some white goods for your home. So there's everything on there for them. And so DEFRA has about 35,000 employees, which is obviously quite a big organisation. And they hit a milestone in November, and we're so proud of them and so happy for them, where their employees spent £1 million in November through the discounts portal, which was saving them £47,000 a month. So when you think about, okay, it's a government organisation, funding to give a pay rise isn't there, what can they do to move the needle and really make a difference for their people and show them that they're valued, they're appreciated, they're looked after for being an employee at DEFRA. So £47,000 a month their employees are saving through discounts. So £1 million spend a month, which is just incredible. And that equates to a 3% pay rise across the organisation. So that's really meaningful and impactful. And part of the reason that this has been such a successful project is because the passion of the team is really something that shines through in everything they do. And they really believe in what they're doing and making their employees' lives better, so that through everything that they communicate, they lead from the front. They talk to employees, they do like roadshows, webinars, they talk to them about everything, and everything they're doing, that passion comes through. And I think that's why it's been so successful. So DEFRA will also on the In Conversation With podcast. So if people want to check that out, I really recommend it. Nat Jutler is the EVP lead there. Just an incredible woman, does amazing things for her people. So yeah, that's our little success story.
Well, it sounds like you've added lots of topping to their pizza, so that works really well. Good analogy.
Yeah, ham and pineapple for me, thank you. Yeah.
It's brilliant. It's great to hear, some tangible numbers which are coming out on the back of it, and that just shows how important it is to have this robust comm strategy that keeps driving people back to these tech platforms. And without them, I think we're always going to be fighting an uphill battle, aren't we? So I think it's brilliant to hear.
Yeah, I think so. And on that point, actually, a tech platform is a tech platform. You can buy any tech platform you want, but it's about the emotion and the humans behind it. And I think that, in this advancing world where there's all these exciting things happening, it can be really easy to lose sight of the fact that, a platform will never be successful without the people who are putting the work in behind it. So yeah, I think one of our values at RG is be human. And I think that's probably why,
It's great value, great value. Well, brilliant. I mean, we've just nipped over the 30-minute mark, so I think that's been a great episode. And yeah, time does fly when you've got such an engaging guest on the podcast. So I'm sure everyone's very happy not just listening to David and Mike ramble on. But Charlotte, thank you so much for coming on board today. And yeah, it's going to be brilliant. Thank you for everyone else who has been listening. It's another episode of Benefits Wise, brought to you by Lemonade Reward. For anyone who wants to get in touch, please do connect with us on LinkedIn, reach out. If you've got any questions, like we said, Charlotte hosts the In Conversation with Reward Gateway. And yeah, any questions for Charlotte, so that, they can get in touch with you on LinkedIn or various other platforms.
Yeah, go for it. Message me on LinkedIn, drop me a message. I'm always happy to chat. Like I said, professional chatterbox. So always happy to talk to people.
That's brilliant. That's brilliant. And yeah, if anyone else has any questions, then please do get in touch. But thank you very much for your time. And David, Charlotte, it's been an absolute pleasure. And we will catch you all on the next one.
Thanks so much for having me.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, guys.
Goodbye.